Hi and welcome tonight. My name is Brenda Arthur Miller. I serve as the high school principal, but also the director of dual language for the district. And we have our fourth grade team here tonight. We have Miss Hannah Ingram, Miss Teresa Castillo, and Miss Kelsey Boone. We also have our elementary administration with us. We have Kirk Ryan, who's our principal, and Dawn Cruz, who's our assistant principal. So tonight we just invited the fourth grade team to kind of walk you through a day in the life of a dual language fourth grader. The presentation will take probably about 20-25 minutes, and then there's an opportunity for question and answer. We are also recording this so it can be pushed out on the district YouTube channel. So for those who are unable to attend tonight, or if you just want to revisit it because it's so fabulous, it'll be out there on the district YouTube channel for you as well. So I'm going to sit down and let them share.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I teach English reading, writing, and social studies, and I'm going to go over SEL and what it looks like in our fourth grade classrooms. Okay, so on the left, so all of our classrooms do second step, which is an SEL program, but more specifically, our classes also do a check-in, check-out system, so we can check in with our students daily to see how they're feeling today and if there's anything we can do to help make their day a little bit better. On the left, you can see Miss Castello's check-in, check-out, and on the right is my check-in and check-out. And the students does that every time they come in. And then second step is a program where we watch different videos, some really fun music videos. You should ask your student about that and learn about specifically right now is empathy and being respectful to others. And then just some more pictures. On Mondays, we like to do a slow start to get their brains just kind of nice and warmed up for after having 2 days off. So different activities like puzzles, Legos, coloring, drawing, reading, just lots of fun things to just get them ready and a fresh start for school.
Hi, I'm Teresa. To break the ice, like today, we start my class with a joke. I decided to do this because for me it's difficult to understand a joke in English. So I know how difficult it is to understand a joke when you're learning a language. So I just decided to start the day with a joke. Sometimes it's really amazing seeing their faces like, what did you say? And then somebody translate it, and we try to work with the words, right? And try to understand the meaning of the joke. So it's kind of to break the ice, but at the same time to work like that humor that it's difficult when you don't understand, when you don't know the language completely. This is joke. Shay, do you remember the joke of this morning? Okay, I'm just going to tell you the joke. That way we all can be more relaxed. So it says, what does a traffic light say to the other traffic light? Don't look at me, I'm changing. Yeah, that was it. And that's when, yeah. And then after the joke, we start science. So in science, we do a lot of activities like right now we are working on environment. So we have mealworms, isopods, and we are going to have fish hopefully soon. So they have a lot of hands on where they can observe and see the like how they change and become another animal. So it's really interesting for them. And like we work on the vocabulary in Spanish. I have a wall where they can see the vocabulary in Spanish. So I try to review that vocabulary every day because I know it's a difficult vocabulary. So yeah, so that's what we are doing in science right now. And we also do Imagine Espanol, that every kid has a card where you can practice it at home. They can do it for 15, 20 minutes. That's going to be super good for them. That's going to be at their level. So every time they practice, they will move forward. So they won't get frustrated because that's going to like that started from their level. So that's going to give them more vocabulary. So we try to do it at least once per day, like 15, 20 minutes. But if you can do it at home, it will be way better for them. And then, when it says Imagine Espanol, that you can see that there's an arrow, there's a link. So I think it's going to be online too. So you can click on it in case you don't remember the page or you need to find it. So it's going to be there too. Um, and yep, I'll be back.
I went the wrong way. All right, so along with SEL on Wednesdays, I like to take our kids for a walk for Workout Wednesday. I've been doing it the last few years I've been teaching, and I feel like that kind of goes with our social emotional learning time because getting some exercise and moving and starting your day like that is a good way to get you started learning. So this is I didn't get a picture of us on our walk, but you can imagine this is your kid on North Miller Street walking up and back on North Miller Street.
And also, the same day for Workout Wednesday, I thought we need to do something where we need to move, but also learn some Spanish words. So I came up with this idea. So every month I try to work like some specific vocabulary. So like as you can see, we are in a circle. We sing a song and we dance, and every word has a movement. So when I say that word in Spanish, they need to do that movement. That way, they need to remember that word and that movement. And if they don't know it, they go back to their seat. So that's a fun way to try to remember words in Spanish and also move because it's Workout Wednesday. So yeah, I think they like it. So I'll keep working on that.
So also with Workout Wednesday, your kids can wear like comic clothing on Wednesday. It's kind of a little school spirit day on Wednesdays. Okay, so in math class, we start kind of with a little warm up review time. I started a new thing called the number of the day. In fourth grade. It's a play off of from Sesame Street with the count, the number of the day, and the little things stomp around. I played that a couple times in class, and it was only a hit for a couple of days, and then it got annoying. But we're still doing the number of the day in class. Much bigger numbers in fourth grade. We're all the way up to into the 100,000 6-digit numbers. Working on some basic place value stuff. What's inside a number? How can I manipulate a number? Skip counting. They're practicing that every day. We also have a daily review every day, which is kind of those your Iowa assessment type questions. Just cycling through all those different third grade skills, fourth grade skills, just reviewing so things stay fresh in their minds. They have like 4 or 5 review questions every day they start math with, and it's something they've already learned. So starting off with the positive in math class. We also always start with some ST math time, which is a great program for our English language learners here in West Liberty. You don't have to know. You can speak Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, whatever, and be successful in ST math because it's all picture based. You see the numbers manipulated through pictures. So everybody can be successful there. Link for ST math in this presentation as well. They all know their picture passwords for logging into ST math. They can do that anywhere. You don't need truly a special link. You can literally just Google ST math, click the website, and they can log in. Okay. So right now in math, we finished up some place value stuff like I talked about, what's inside of a number, how we can break apart a number. We did a lot of hands-on work with that, and that's also carrying into adding and subtracting, which is what I'm teaching right now in math. So you can see some of our kids down there with the place value blocks, practicing regrouping. When we have too many ones in the ones place, we gotta move them over into the tens place. So we're manipulating those with our hands. I've got them online too that kids can use. That's part of their number of the day, where they use the correct blocks to show the number. Another part with the hands-on, we also do a lot of visuals, so we're moving away soon from the calculation aspect of math and moving more in toward the when do I know when I'm supposed to add? When do I subtract? And these math actions are something that'll be coming out of my class soon, so kids can see, oh, when I see things coming together, that's put together, I need to add, or this is coming away, this is take away, or I'm comparing these two amounts to define the missing part, I've got to use subtraction. So there's kind of some visuals that the kids will be able to use to make sure they're using the right operation. And then another big thing in my math class is growth mindset. There we go. I say kick math butt a lot in my class because sometimes math can be scary. And so I tell the kids, we're going to kick math butt today. So I have some books that I read to the kids to help with their growth mindset. You find these ninja books or these dragon books. They're really good for helping kids with perseverance, having grit, being ambitious, continuing to try even when things get really hard for them. So I like to sprinkle those books in every month or so just to have a moment of like, yeah, we are having a hard time in math right now, but we can do it. Let's keep going. So if you find any of those books, Christmas, birthday, Ninja and the Dragon, those are good books. And then I just put some of the language that I try to reinforce with the kids. Instead of saying, I can't do this, I'm not good at this. Instead, they can ask themselves, what am I missing here? Let me try a different strategy. What can I try? You know, just don't give up. Try something else. So I try to reinforce that language in them when they start to get negative, try and change it into a more positive light so they stay positive in my class. Keep trying. All right, I think it is Miss Boone.
Okay, so every day in my class we have fluency practice, which is just a time for your student to read with a partner. It's a passage that I choose, but they're allowed to go anywhere in the room and they read as many words as they can in that passage in 1 minute. It's a really fun thing for them to get to read to each other. They enjoy it. They also have a little graph, which you'll see at conference time. You'll get to see their completed graph and all of the words. My biggest focus is seeing how much they grow over time, not really looking at the number, but just seeing how it just continuously grows. And it's a fun little thing. Some of the passages are really silly too. Kids A to Z is also a really great resource that you can do at home. Your student should know how to log in, and then the password is Boone. They do seem to forget that, but it is my last name, so it's just Boone. It's at their level, and then it's really based on like reading comprehension, but it kind of looks like a game. It's a little bit tricky, and it's just enjoyable. And then Imagine Learning Language and Literacy is what our ELL students use. So they do Imagine Espanol in Ms. Castello's class. And then in my class, if they're an ELL student, they do Imagine Language and Literacy. But because we're a dual program, the other students who don't do this do Imagine Espanol. So we're just continuously growing both languages in the area that they need. And then a big thing that we're really hitting this year is grammar practice. Really, really trying to work on writing complete sentences, always capitalizing the letter I, adding punctuation. That's just a really big thing that we're working on. They get 2 sentences each day that they have to edit for me. Sometimes it might seem a little bit silly, but we always seem to forget capitalizing I. So we're working really hard on making awesome sentences. And then we do spelling. We just had our spelling test on Friday, and you'll get a new word list tomorrow sent home. So check the backpack for that. Students are doing really awesome in spelling. Again, I really want to focus on, I'm not looking at how many words that they spell correctly. I want to see how much they grow from the pre-test to the post-test, because it just shows how much, like, what they put in, what they get out of it. So I have one student who grew by, it's out 20 words, and they got 2 on the pretest and then 15 correct on the post-test. That is huge growth. And that student and I talked about how, they practiced with their partner, they worked at home, they were doing it as their daily 5, like they really took the time, and we just really celebrated that success. Another thing that you can use at home is Epic. I think you can only go for a certain amount of time at home, but they do get time at school, and then the class code is up here as well. In my class, so the pictures that I have are mostly from when they're doing independent group and partner work. It was hard for me to take a picture while I was doing the whole group teaching. But I teach Ready Gen. Right now, we're reading a very fabulous book called Porpoises in Peril. Super interesting. We learned what peril meant, and that a porpoise is like a dolphin. So we're really enjoying that. We will finish that on next Monday, I believe. And we're just having a really great time with that. And I think that's all of the slides.
Okay, so that kind of gives you the idea of what a 4th grade day looks like in dual language. Do you have questions? I realized we kind of skipped over. I think you gathered this, but science and literacy are in Spanish, and then math, literacy, and social studies are in English in 4th grade. And then all of their essentials would be in English at this time as well. So we try to split the time, so about 50% of their instructional time is in Spanish. But at 4th grade level, since we have 3 teachers, then it's a little less than that. So they're basically 3 groups, so they're rotating through that. Do you have other questions that we can answer? Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat the question since it's going to be pushed out on the YouTube channel. So the question was, students seem to have a lot of opportunities to practice keyboarding at school, and the question is wanting to know whether they have keyboarding taught to them. Yes? Okay.
One of our essentials is technology, and then there's also, I guess I don't have it on here, but they have, what's it called? Edu typing, I believe, that they can do at home, that they always ask to do in class. But so that's one of their typing things. But they do have typing as an essential with technology, and edu typing is what they have access to.
Yes, and I do think they do some typing practice in library as well. And so that, yeah, it's EDU typing is the link. Thank you for that question. What other questions do you have? Okay, so the question was, how often are spelling lists sent home? And Miss Boone?
Only one so far. I will say, like, the first few are gonna come slower because we're really working on practicing and seeing how long that takes. And I won't give them the test until the class is ready to take the spelling test. But I'll send a seesaw note anytime that they're coming home, just so that you know to look for them in the backpack. It also usually comes with, I do a monthly newsletter, so usually it comes with a newsletter. This year, this month it won't, because you'll have one tomorrow, and then you'll have a newsletter next Monday.
Thank you. Another question? All right. We got a student who needs a spelling words paper. We're on it. Thank you for your question. Other questions? Yes. Yeah, so again, just want to restate the question. So the question is to summarize, how can we help our student at home to continue to improve reading in Spanish? Yes.
So I think that that's a good idea, like reading something that he already knows, so he has an idea of what he's reading, and also like as I said, like Imagine Español is going to give him a lot of vocabulary that will help him to understand more, and also like let me go back. Sorry, it was over here. So you can see like I create this like little book with vocabulary. It's going to be monthly, so they have like the basic vocabulary. So that's going to go home too. That's going to help them to increase their vocabulary. They can practice home. So I know that this is not related with which book to read, but that's going to help him to increase the vocabulary and understand the like any book better. So, and I also recommend like try to watch like some show that your kid likes in Spanish, like something easy or a movie or like with subtitles in Spanish, just to try to understand what they are saying. That's going to help them to understand more Spanish. I know it's hard. I try to watch the TV in English and it's like oof, but I do it every day because that's super helpful. So
What other questions do we have? We've not asked any questions that would stump Miss Cruz or Mr. Ryan. So I mean, if you have those too, we can get them up on stage. You're welcome. Sure. No other questions? Sure. Mhm. Yes, thank you. So the question was, how is this fourth grade class doing in comparison with perhaps previous fourth grade classes, but also just in thinking about what they went through as far as during COVID and with the hybrid year. And we greatly appreciate that question. It's something that we've talked about as a team with fourth grade and with the administration. And we know that during the virtual time and during the hybrid year that Spanish definitely took a back seat, probably even more for our native English speakers than anyone else. And so they are delayed in where they should be comparatively with previous fourth grade classes. The positive part about that is that we recognize that as a team. And so we're working very hard to meet them where they are. And again, as Ms. Boone said, really measuring that growth and how far are they getting both in their Spanish and in their English. And then making plans as an administrative team to ensure that we meet with the fifth grade team next year, that they know where these kiddos started and how far they got. And we know that that's going to take a few years to get them to where they should be. And so it's really a balance because we want to push them, but we don't want to push them away from wanting to be in dual or wanting to learn Spanish. And so we're very much trying to balance that. So we actually talked about when you see the report cards at the end of October that they're not going to be meeting a lot of fourth grade standards yet. And again, that's because we're meeting them where they are. And at the end of the year, we hope to see more of those fourth grade standards met, but knowing that we're going to have to keep adjusting our curriculum and adjusting, especially with this group, because they were probably hit the hardest because they missed a good chunk of second grade and then, or a good chunk of first grade and then second grade was hybrid. So, and I'm not sure if that answers your question. I guess we want you to have faith that we are working on it and we know where they are and are going to keep pushing them to get farther and grow. Yes. Yes. So the question was, are they also behind in English? And the answer to that would also be a yes. And again, meeting them where they are, working to push them, working to really look for that growth, and then specifically planning for that meeting in the spring with the 5th grade team, so that, especially with changing buildings and all of that, wanting to make sure that we have a solid plan in place to continue to push the kids, but also meet them where they are and help them be successful. Mr. Ryan, will you come up and say that in the microphone so we have it on the YouTube channel as well? He has a great answer, and we just want to make sure everyone can hear it.
And we'll come down to this. No, I said that they missed arguably the most important part of a kid's education in that second half of first grade, where you see the most growth, especially in language. But this group of kids across the nation and the state was the hardest hit in all areas. So in SEL and math, science, all of it. So it's language, yes, is part of that development too, but we're meeting kids where they're at and doing a lot of team meetings to help differentiate to best meet their needs, and then hopeful to see a whole lot of growth in the winter and in the spring.
I just also want to say we really appreciate that question too, because when we talked last week before we were planning this meeting, the teachers themselves were kind of nervous. They said, I'm worried when we push out report cards that parents are going to be disappointed that their students are not meeting the 4th grade standards. And so we appreciate that question, so we have a chance to address it now as well as at conferences. We know they're not meeting 4th grade standards yet, but that's the yet part of that. And so, yeah, just wanting to keep working on it, I guess. So thank you for your question very much. What other questions do you have? Thank you. I'm just going to restate what you said so we have it on the YouTube. So we just want to say kudos for communication seems to be consistent and clear, and we're appreciative of that. So, and that is part of the reason that we chose to do 4th grade first. Our intention is to have dual language meetings where all grades 1st through 4th can share what a day in the life is like of a dual language student. But we definitely wanted to start with 4th grade because, as we've already said, we know this is a good group of kids and we want them to know we're proud of where they're going. So we started with the oldest class in the elementary. And the coolest, for sure. Yeah. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to the teachers or Miss Cruz or Mr. Ryan or myself. As we said, this PowerPoint will be linked on the district YouTube channel as well as on the dual language web page. So we'll have it in both places because there are links there for different activities that you can practice at home with your students, both in English and in Spanish. And I just want to say thank you for coming and joining us this evening and taking some time out of your Monday night. And if you have other questions, yeah, feel free to email us. Thank you. And thank you, 4th grade team.